Welcome to the Arclight Battery, your power source for all things Warcraft Rumble related. In today's video, we're going to be making that tier list for minis that I talked about in a previous video, and this is going to be specifically for the Bounty Hunt and the Heroes Resolve meta. Now, this is just minis, not leaders. We already did a leader tier list. This is a series that I'm going to be doing every 2 weeks. When the modifier changes, we're going to go back and look at the old tier list and rearrange things based on how things change. But we haven't done a tier list in so long, since basically the start of the channel, that we're just kind of starting from scratch right now. But once again, this is for Heroes Resolve and Bounty Hunt and Arrow Towers. Okay? So, let's redefine what our categories mean. S tier is kind of a staple. So, things like Quillbore, Safe Pilot, maybe Griffin Rider that are in every single deck, or 90% of them. A tier is a good unit, but probably in a less percentage of the decks. Things that are maybe specifically to counter other things, but those other things are popular in the meta. And then B tier is kind of niche use, like maybe, let's say, a Troll, just because really the only place you play him is in Cairn. So he's good in the Cairn list, but not so good in other lists. We've already done C and D tier. There's not a lot to talk about with these guys. These are units that I personally think in, once again, this Hero Tower, or rather, Heroes Resolve, Arrow Tower, and Bounty Hunt meta that are just probably not worth playing. C is like maybe a niche use that could cause issues if people aren't ready for them, and D tier is like completely unplayable. But we're not going to go over those because then that would be an hour-long video. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, we have Arcane Blast first, which we're going to put solidly into B tier. This is kind of a niche spell, but really good where it's good. There are people playing it in the Charoga Cycle deck right now. It is really solid. You can play it for 1 cost, and 2 costs, and 3 costs if you want to. And you get to do that without having the penalty of putting those 2 and 3 cost spells back into the deck that Charoga pulls from for costs. So basically, it's always going to be a 1 cost for you. And then it just kind of has the option of being played more from there. That is with the increased radiance talent. There's the one that makes it start at level 3, then go to 4. And that gets played a little bit in Jaina lists. And it's pretty good there because you can play with clear casting, where Jaina makes the next spell you play after playing her cost 1 less, making your 3 cost really a 2 cost. And it's really solid, honestly. So, next we have Banshee. This is going to be B tier as well. Very niche use, very meta dependent. So, if things like Dracosath are in the meta, or Gargoyle, big things like that, this kind of shines. Right now, it's kind of okay. Gargoyle has fallen out of the meta a little bit, though you still have to respect it. There are a lot of decks that are playing Cycle as fast as you can. And play your leader a bunch without being able to kill gargoyles, and those decks will lose every time they encounter a gargoyle. So make sure you're building your decks to respect gargoyles, and then go from there. Bat Rider, solidly B tier. I think it fits into like maybe Grommash, maybe Cairn lists. They're okay. It's kind of hard for them to exist in Griffin Rider meta, but still very good against certain things in the meta currently, such as like Tyrion's, maybe Dracosaths. Just being able to play a 2 gold unit to help you cycle back to your leader, maybe in Hogger lists. But being able to play a 2 gold unit that helps you cycle, that is, you know, decent, does good damage, but it's just Bombard, so it just helps you cycle a little bit. Next we have Blizzard, which I'm going to put in A tier. This is kind of overshadowed by Deep Breath most of the time. However, Blizzard does more damage, just in a smaller area than Deep Breath on equal level, but people are playing Deep Breath over it because of the utility that Deep Breath brings, the longer range, the better talents, things like that. However, if you don't have Deep Breath, it's very, very, very solid, and definitely deserves a spot in A tier. Next we have Chain Lightning, and I believe this is A tier as well right now, potentially S, but there are a lot of decks that are playing Chain Lightning. It's a 2 gold cost spell that gives you the option to play it a second time or stun something if you want to with those talents. It helps you cycle back to your leaders. Very good against Whelpegs, even though they're not great in the meta right now. They're okay, maybe in like Rind, but not amazing because of Bounty Hunt. Super good against Harpies. Great in Jaina lists, giving the +3 to Chain Lightning and making it a 1 cost. Super good. Next we have Cheat Death. Once again, this is the B tier. It's just niche. It goes in Thalnos decks, and I know in my leader tier list video, I said Thalnos was, I think, C tier. He's probably higher than that. He's probably B tier. I still don't believe I've lost to a Thalnos, as crazy as that is to say, because I know there are good Thalnos lists out there. I just think that he gets countered too heavily by certain things in the meta that are very relevant, like Quillbore, Deep Breath, Polymorph, things like that. Next, we have Cor Hounds. Solidly B tier. They're okay. With Polymorph and Bandits running around the meta, they are a little worse, just because you can Polymorph their Resurrection or stun their Resurrection, and they don't get to revive their friend, but they're still good in some decks. They're not ideal, because you want to be cycling very quickly to play your hero more, but just playing expensive big Cor Hounds, the meta cannot like, you might find people that aren't respecting that right now, kind of like how people don't respect Gargoyle, and this can take people over, so definitely B tier. Dark Iron Miner, very high A tier. This doesn't go in every deck, but it does go in a lot of them. Having a 2 gold cycle mini that claims treasure on the map for you, mines gold mines, can be a pseudo Quillbore if you need to. Very, very, very good in a lot of decks. And we're going to try and speed through these a little bit, just because we don't want to have an hour-long video. We've got Troll, B tier. Like I said earlier, he goes in Cairn. He's really solid in Cairn. Kind of okay outside of it, but super, super, super solid in Cairn. Deep Breath, S tier. This is not in every deck. Actually, this is not in every deck. So let's drop it in A tier. There are a lot of decks that play this with the Melt Armor talent, which is good against Tyrion. Gargoyle, that's one way people are respecting Gargoyle right now. They're not really running double Dragon, where you get the double Deep Breath. And a lot of people are foregoing this even, playing like Polymorph, Chain Lightning, things like that, just to help them cycle. It really just depends on how you build your deck. But most people are building their decks super cycle to play their Hoggers, their Charlgas, even like Tyrions, Rins, things like that. Playing a 4 gold cost spell into a 4 cost or higher leader is pretty rough for your cycle strategy. So, I think it's actually A tier right now. Bandits. Solidly A tier. 1 gold cost. Stun things, poison things. Their picklock talent is busted in PvP right now. It doesn't give you extra gold for opening treasure chests, which is kind of unfortunate. They would be really good if that were fixed. However, it's not. They're still great at defending, and they're 1 gold cost in stealth, which is super solid. It helps you cycle back to your Hoggers, your Charlgas, things like that for 1 gold. Pretty solid. Next we have Drake, B tier. It's kind of okay. It's probably fine in Rin decks for clogging up the map. We still see some strategies like that. However, it's not nearly as good in the Heroes Resolve meta because it's 4 cost. You don't want to play a lot of 4 costs if you're trying to cycle your leaders, but still okay. Next we have Execute, probably B tier. There are Jaina decks that play it, and I think it slots into some Horde decks well. I was playing it in Cairn for a little bit. It's just, you know, it's okay. Being able to kill something with it and then play a Cairn for 4 is really good, but I think it's just kind of okay at the moment. Gargoyle, I'm going to put in A tier. I don't think he's actually played in that many decks currently, but the meta has adopted to killing him quite a bit. However, if you don't respect Gargoyle, if you find one, it's probably going to run you over. I know EU plays a lot of Gargoyle. He's kind of dropped off a little bit on the North American meta, but he's still really, really solid. There are still strategies with Emperor Thaurissan that boosts him, or Jaina that just tries to protect him the whole time. That is pretty solid in the meta, but not S tier. Next we have Ghoul. He's definitely high A tier. These aren't really in any order. I'm just kind of throwing these up here, but super solid unit. This unit was slept a lot on. We finally got some XP into Ghoul, and people started testing him. He's very, very, very good, especially in things like Emperor Thaurissan that can pump him a couple extra levels. You could pair him with Smoke Bomb if you want to give him levels through that talent. He's just super good. If you don't kill him right away, before he has a chance to eat, it's like you invest resources into a tank, and then they get to full heal, which is just crazy. It's actually so good. There are some scenarios where he is tanking something and then stops to eat, and he kind of like leaves your push by letting them go past him, which is not great for a tank, but that doesn't happen too terribly often. Next, we have our first S tier unit, Griffin Rider. Just super solid. You play it in almost every single deck. It's 2 gold cost. It's probably the best 2 gold cost unit in the game, other than maybe Quillbore. Just amazing. Trades well into Rend. Like, being able to play your +3 range Griffin Rider into a 6 gold Rend and have this dismount them is just amazing. It's so good. Perfect. Super solid. Next, we have Harpies. I think these are B tier. I don't think they're quite A tier. I think they get played in Grom some and maybe some Rend, but with Chain Lightning in the meta, it's kind of hard to get a lot of good use out of them. Next, we have Harvest Golem. Still A tier. Bounty Hunt has maybe taken this guy down a notch. He is good, but not as good as when he could play chickens with him. Because right now, if you play Golem with chickens, it basically costs you 2 gold to play him. Well, 2 gold extra, so he would be 5 gold. Because when your opponent kills him, he's going to spawn 4 chickens, and then once you kill those, that's a gold for Bounty Hunt. And then he resurrects and does it all again, and it gives your opponent another gold. So he's okay. There are some Emperor Thorson decks that still play him, same with Jaina, but they're running the stun talent now, and it's not quite as good, but still decent. Next, we have Holy Nova. This is B tier. I think solidly it's in like some Tyrion decks, it's in Thalnos decks, but outside of that, you don't really see a lot of play for it. It's good in tanky metas, I feel like, to like support things like Footman or maybe even a Chimera or something like that, but those aren't really relevant right now because of Hero's Resolve and because of Bounty Hunt. Next, we have our Huntress, which I think is probably A tier. We'll drop it down to B tier. It's fallen a little out of favor with Hero's Resolve. A lot of people were playing it beforehand. Now, you don't really want a 5 gold cost unit in your deck, but it's still decent. You can still play it in some decks. Next, we have Meat Wagon. I don't actually know why I left this here. This is solidly like D tier. C or D. Not great in PvP, unfortunately. Murlocs. These guys are A tier. These guys are so good with Safety Bubble. That means your opponent can't kill them with Deep Breath, which is just such a good check mark for a 2 gold cost unit to pass. It's really, really, really insane. Yeah, definitely in a lot of decks. Not every single deck, but a lot of them. Then we have Polymorph. Great, A tier. It helps you get past Tyrion bubbles by polymorphing them before it procs. It helps you kill Drakasats. It helps you kill Grommash's, Hoggers, all sorts of stuff. Polymorph has so many uses, and when paired with Safe Pilot, just absolutely fantastic. Next, we have Prowler. Gotta put him in A tier. He is very, very, very good. He helps you contest treasure chests. He's fast. He does good damage. He's tanky. He's 3 gold cost, which is not super expensive, but in the Hero's Resolve meta, it's not like the cheapest thing in the world, right? He's still very, very, very good. Next, we have Pyromancer. Putting her in B tier, she has become a really good Gargoyle defender, especially with her triple damage on the first attack. Just such a good unit to deal with Gargoyle, but we don't see a lot of her. She's something you play in the deck if you expect to see a lot of Gargoyles, and you're never really playing her out in the open. Like, she'll sit in your deck, and then if you don't find a Gargoyle, you generally don't play her unless they get like a really big push on your base, and then you'll be able to play her and defend your base. But yeah, she's basically just a good base defender. Played in some lists, not in a lot of them, but still super good. Next we have Quillbore. S tier, gets played in everything. The poison talent aggro's kobolds, so you can fight them without them walking past you. Great at denying gold, great at contesting treasure chests, great at flipping around Rins, taking Barons, tanking Drakasats, all sorts of cool stuff you can do with this. Raptors. These are going to go in B tier. They are strictly in the Charlga cycle deck. I think some Grommash lists play them as well, but these guys have seen a lot of good success in Charlga. Once again, they're like Arcane Blast, where you can play it for 1 gold, and then more if you want to, but only the first 1 gold cost goes into your cost deck, so you never actually have to end up seeing those 2 and 3 costs again for Charlga. Next, we have Safe Pilot. totally S tier. This unit is fantastic. Almost all decks are playing her, even after her nerf. She is very, very, very solid. She contests treasure chests. She denies gold. She is, someone said it last time, take a drink for every time I say on-demand support for your push. She is just awesome. Frostwolf Shaman, B tier, fits in the Dracosath, not much else, gives it armored, super good. Skeletons, these are B tier, but like very low B tier. These are really good in Maiev, and probably the only place you'll play them right now if you decide to play them. Bounty Hunt has kind of hurt these guys quite a bit since you run the Exhume talent where you get 5 of them. It's kind of just like, I mean, you're paying 2 gold to give your opponent 1 gold. It's rough, but they're still okay. Smoke Bomb, B tier, pretty niche. Played in some Troggo lists, played in a lot of Thalnos lists. Not much else there. It's okay. It's good in the decks it's good in. Like Thalnos, not super good anywhere else. Tauren, I'm gonna go with B tier here. This gets played in Cairn sometimes, and sometimes Grommash, but really I think the only place this really fits is Cairn. It's good, but not as good as what you could be doing. 4 gold is a lot, especially in the Heroes Resolve meta, so when you spend 4 gold, you want to make sure you're impacting the board in quite a significant way, and she does it, kind of. Warsong Raider, same thing, B tier. Only fits in Sneed, really. Claims treasure chest, generates more gold. The issue with Sneed right now is that he's not very good because Gadget Zan has been removed from the map pool, and that was his favorite map. So Warsong Raider is B tier. I don't think she would be higher if Gadget Zan was still in, but she's just okay. Next we have Whelp Eggs, and man, I think I'm going to put these B tier as well. They're high B tier though. You only play them in Rind, they're still good. The only reason you only play them in Rind is because you're putting 6 units on the board when you do this. That triggers Bounty Hunt pretty quick for your opponent, giving them 1 gold for killing your whelps, especially if you do it with Chain Lightning. That's such a big disadvantage to have every time you play your whelps, which is why I play them in Rind so that you get the gold cost reduction. And then last but not least, we have Worgen, which I think is B tier. You can maybe play it in Maya, maybe in Jaina. It's good against a couple things in the meta, but not a lot currently. Good against like Shaman and Dracosath. But like, let's just look at the units. Not good against any of these. Griffin Rider, Gobor safe. Not really good against Miner. Like, you could play it against a Miner to deny them gold, but do you really want to be spending 3 gold to get rid of their Miner? Not good against Ghoul, not good against Prowler, not good against Harvest Gold, not good against Murlocs. It is very okay, but good against certain things. I think, like I said, Maiev and Jaina decks can play this and it's fine, but it's potentially C tier. We're going to leave it B tier, low B tier. But yeah, that's our minis for this season, this modifier. This is Arrow Towers, Bounty Hunt, and Heroes Resolve. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I misplaced anything. Definitely in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. This is something, like I said, we're going to be doing every 2 weeks when the meta rolls over so that we can know what is good and what has fallen, what takes hits from certain things and what doesn't, and what gets better as well. Once again, we have a community Discord. There are over 100 members now, which is awesome. It's just a place for you guys to reach out to me, ask questions, get tips, and just chat with each other. It's really solid that you guys have shown me so much support and that you guys have joined the Discord. So once again, links in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.